The world communities have a certain time according to the movement of sun, moon and earth, and accordingly they have made their calendars. All world religions emphasize the importance of time in our lives. They recommend that we utilize it wisely because it makes a huge impact on how we live and behave. As we start this new year, it is an occasion to talk about world calendars so that we can utilize our time properly. Today we'll talk about lesser known Bahai calendar. It has some unique qualities which give us an interesting perspective. Dr. A.K. Merchant, General Secretary of the Temple of Understanding India Foundation, will help us understand the concept. Welcome to the Matrix. We all know about Hindu, Gregorian, Islamic, Nanak Samvat, Mahanirvan, Mahavira, Shahanshahi and Chinese lunisolar calendar. Similarly, Bahai calendar is quite interesting. It has 19 months and 19 days and a special significance is attached to each month. We will understand this from Dr. A.K. Merchant. Sir, a very happy new year to you.
Same with me. I'm also very delighted to be here at Awaz the Voice. And thank you very much, Mr. Atir Khan, for having me over to discuss the calendars of the world with particular focus on the calendar of the Bahai faith.
Yes, so let's straight dive in. And I ask you first that how is Bahai calendar different from other calendars?
Yeah, it is quite unique because as you know, the Bahai faith is relatively young, but it is an independent world religion. And so its twin founders, who are popularly known by the titles, the Bab and Baha'u'llah, they gave us this new calendar because they said humanity is entering a new age. And the past, the way we reckon time, and in order to make the best use of time in a new age, they felt the need for a calendar that's mathematically perfect and that will ensure that the well-being of all of humanity.
Right. So could you tell us about 19 months and 19 days cycle in the Bahai calendar?
Yeah, the number 19 is very significant because 19 in terms of the Arabic language of Abjad stands for unity.
Okay.
And the whole purpose of all the Bahai teachings or whatever Baha'u'llah has given us was to help unite humankind with all its myriad diversities.
Right.
So this new calendar is actually in a sense a convergence of the best of everything and something new.
Right.
Because the Bab conceived of this calendar of 19 days in a month and 19 months in a year.
Right.
And he created a whole system. But he left one thing because 19 into 19 is 361 days. So during his time, they were not very clear where to put the intercalary days because our Earth rotates around the sun and it completes 365 days and a quarter.
Right.
So then when Baha'u'llah revealed his book of laws, the Kitab-e-Aqdas, he brought the intercalary days between the 18th and the 19th months.
Right.
And the last month of the Bahai calendar is a month of fasting, where all Baha'is who are in good health and are able to keep their fast, they get up before sunrise, have their breakfast, and for the whole day, they are not supposed to eat or drink till after sunset.
Right. So when you say new calendar, could you tell us how this calendar has evolved, when we say new?
Yes. Yeah, from ancient times, human beings have always been curious how to measure time. So one was the seasons and the other was the waning and the waxing of the moon. So 14 days, the moon grows larger and becomes full moon. And then again, a cycle of 14 days begins where it begins to decline and then you see a new moon.
Right.
But as our powers of observation of the sky, the positioning of the planets, and the way the stars align themselves, the zodiac concept, so people felt that there should be also a calendar. So from ancient time, even the Aztec civilization in Mexico or the Mayan civilization, the Incas, they also had conceived of calendar. Same case, in India, the famous astronomer Aryabhatta.
Yes.
He gave a calendar, he said it should be based on the Surya Siddhant.
Right.
So though our government has the Saka calendar,
Yes.
which is a solar calendar,
Yes.
yet our festivals are on the basis of the lunar calendars, such as the Kalyug calendar or the Vikram Samvat calendar or the Krishna Samvat. And that's the reason, though according to the Gregorian calendar, the new year begins on the 1st of January, but in India, the new year is also in the month of March. For instance, the Bahai New Year is astronomically fixed when you have the spring equinox.
Right.
Day and night are equal. It can fall according to the meridian in the northern hemisphere either on the 20th of March, 21st of March or 22nd.
Right. So could you also elaborate?
So this astronomical concept was designed to help people better use their time and to make their computation easier and not have this multiple or the conflicting notions. Okay, my new year is on so and so date, yours is coming on that date. So the idea of unity was also to ensure that a calendar is accepted by all of humanity, which will help them to better regulate their lives.
Right.
Though United Nations also made an effort and they came with a world calendar.
But it was not...
But it had no universal acceptance. So even the Bahai calendar is only beginning to be understood by people.
Right.
But we are hopeful and confident that as more and more people begin to understand the need, it will have a universal acceptance.
Right. Sir, you've done extensive research on calendars, world calendars. Could you elaborate more on the Hindu calendar? You talked about the Saka calendar, which the government follows.
The official.
Could you elaborate more on this?
Of course, Hinduism is such an ancient religion, and from the earliest times, our Rishi Munis, who were truly very enlightened souls, they gave us a lot of profound knowledge as how to relate to time, how to ensure that the seasons that come throughout the year are positively utilized. And essentially, being an agrarian society, a society that's based on farming, agriculture, so the majority of the people understood the measurement of time in terms of the ritus, the rita, the season, changing seasons. But then, in order to ensure that the religious duties are also properly performed, they came up with different calendars, such as the Krishna Samvat, from the time of the king Vikramaditya.
Right.
Then the Krishna calendar is there, because that dates from the time of Lord Krishna, when the whole thing in Mahabharata happened, the dialogue with Arjun. So like that, you also have the Bangabada calendar of the Bengalis. You have the Tamil calendar. You have the calendar of the Malayali people in Kerala. You have the Marathi calendar. So different sages and saints, they brought in certain variations.
Right.
And that's how you have multiplicity of calendar.
Right.
On the other hand, other religious communities also have their calendar. I can even explain to you that aspect, if you wish.
Please go ahead if you want.
Yes. Sure. So as we know that we have the Islamic calendar that begins from the Hijrat of Holy Prophet Muhammad from Mecca to Medina. And today it is 1456th or 57th year.
Right.
And it's a lunar calendar. That's why the month of fasting also, every year you see there are different dates.
Right.
So similarly, before the Gregorian calendar, which was given by Pope Gregory the 13th, you had a Julian calendar, because Julius Caesar was one of the persons who came up with a new calendar. Right. And during the Roman times, that was the prevalent calendar.
And it is followed in Russia, if I'm not
So
wrong.
the Russians adopted that, and it became known as the Julian calendar.
Right.
That's why the Russians, they celebrate their Christmas on the 7th of January. And the New Year comes on the 14th of January. 14th of January. For a long time, we would get invited by the Russian embassy to celebrate. And they would combine both Christmas and the New Year and fix a date, which would be convenient. The Zoroastrians, they have the Parsi calendar. The Buddhists, their calendar begins from Buddha's Mahaparinirvan.
Yes.
The Jains, from the time of Lord Mahavira, though they have the cycle of 24 Tirthankaras, but their calendar actually is from the time of Lord Mahavir.
Right.
So like that, there are other communities, also like the Sikhism,
Nanak Shahi.
Nanak Shahi,
Yeah.
which is in the 555th year,
Right.
because from the time of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. So it's very interesting, the subject, that how different societies, different communities have tried to help the ordinary masses of people to make the best use of time.
Yes.
As you made in your opening remarks, time is very precious.
Right.
And we must find ways to make the best use. And once a time is passed, it is past.
Absolutely.
If you have wasted it, you will regret it.
So you have not talked about the Chinese luni-solar calendar. Could you explain?
Oh yes, yeah. The Chinese also have a luni-solar calendar, and the Chinese New Year, which also is a week-long celebration, comes mostly in the month of February. And the Chinese calendar, as you know, each month has got a animal or a bird symbol.
The rat and
the rat, the pig, the rooster, the dog. So I have not checked what Chinese calendar New Year will be, because it's coming in February, so I didn't bother to update myself.
Okay.
But last year was probably the rooster calendar. So like that, each animal symbolizes a particular month.
Right.
And I can see there is perhaps information. So human beings, in order to remember, they had to actually have some kind of a thing to associate. So the Chinese were very good enough in doing that.
Right. It's the Chinese and the Mexicans who had this.
Yeah, the Aztecs had their own,
yeah.
because they were also very good astronomers.
Yes.
So a lot depends upon the understanding of astronomy,
Yeah.
the position of the planets, the way the stars configure themselves, and you have the zodiac signs.
Right. They also
so in
named
India, we have the Jantar Mantar here.
Yes.
You have that sun dial.
Sundial, yes.
Yes.
Yes, of course. And in in the Americas, the Mexico especially,
Yes.
they also the Red Indians, they named people after the animals.
Yes.
The first animal they saw, and after
Oh
the
yeah,
bird.
yes, yeah.
So
sleeping dog, or the smart wolf, or
Yes.
the riding horse.
Yeah.
The chiefs.
yes.
They would be known by these symbolic names.
Right. So now
in order to convey certain attributes also.
attributes. Yes. So now coming back to the Baha'i calendar,
Yes,
sir. In Baha'i calendar, each month has a special significance. Could you tell us more about it?
Yeah, what the forerunner of the Bab did, he chose an attribute of God. So the very first month, which is in Arabic Baha, in English it is translated as splendor. The second month is Jalal. It is translated as glory. The third month is beauty, translated as Jamal, translated as beauty. The fourth month is Azmat, translated as grandeur. The fifth month is Nur, translated as light.
Right.
So like that, because he said, in order to help humanity to realize the spiritual dimension of unity, even the calendar should have the attributes of God.
Right. So how does it impact the Baha'i community? Like, for instance, you say Jalal or Noor. What do the Baha'i followers do during these months,
Yeah, in fact, every first day of each Baha'i month, we have a community gathering called the 19-day feast.
Okay.
So at this gathering, we have a portion for prayers and devotionals. We have a portion for administrative activities and sharing. And we have the social feast. Because this is again Baha'u'llah's ordinance in the Kitab-e-Aqdas.
Right.
That and if there are few Baha'is, then every family must take the initiative.
Okay.
So it is again a way to demonstrate fellowship.
Okay.
Because human beings cannot live in isolation.
Right.
We always live in families, in a community, and in a society.
That's right.
So that fellowship dimension had to be strengthened.
Right.
So that's how we have
So
every 19 days, a 19-day feast, apart from the holy days.
Right. So if you talk about Baha'i community, worldwide, if I'm not wrong, it's around 8 million. Yes. How about the Indian figures? How many Baha'i followers are there in India?
Yeah, according to our Department of Statistics, we are told that there are more than 1 million Baha'is. That's about, but current data says that it would be about approximately 15 lakhs.
Right.
So out of the 80 lakh Baha'is, or 8 million worldwide, numerically speaking, India has the largest number
Oh, really?
in terms of a country.
Okay.
But the rest of the Baha'is are all spread out, with Asia being the largest number.
Right.
And then you have the North and South Americas, where you have more than 1 million Baha'is. You have the whole of Africa, where there is another more than 1 million Baha'is. And Baha'i faith expands as a result of the voluntary acceptance by an individual.
Yes.
It welcomes people from all backgrounds,
Right.
without any discrimination.
Right.
So a Baha'i is one by choice.
So my next question would be, such time has a great significance in human life. How does a calendar impact human life and behavior?
Yes, it's very interesting, because every time a new year begins, we are reminded that let us make the best positive use of the new year, adopt or take resolutions which will help you to become a better person, whether it is to do with your health, then have a regime for ensuring that every day morning you get up in time to do a certain number of exercises or practice yoga. If you want to develop your spirituality, then you must take out from your busy schedule some time for prayer and meditation. All the holy places of worship, they are actually a physical reminder that, look, you human beings, you are not simply physical. There is a spiritual, immortal dimension to you,
Right.
which you need to also cultivate and develop.
So the balance.
So the calendar and the festive days. So there are certain days which are solemn occasions where you have a remembrance of the death of the spiritual luminary or the manifestation or the prophet. And you have the joyous occasions. Could be a New Year is a very joyous occasion. The birth anniversary of the founders of different religions are very joyously celebrated. Then there are certain other important things associated with the life of the founders.
Right.
So these are reminders to human beings, so that there should be a break from your daily life of drudgery or struggles or work, and you have to take out time, otherwise psychologically you become dysfunctional.
Yes. So it helps
And
us.
the spiritual dimension should reinforce
Yes.
your material and the physical side of life.
All right. So it also helps us program our mind according to according to the seasons also.
Yes.
So we have alterations.
That's true, and this is the way nature is.
Right.
I mean, if we only had summertime, you would be completely bored.
Absolutely.
If you had no rain, you would be again feeling that the whole world is parched.
Yes.
If you didn't have winter, how will you be able to appreciate the spring?
Right. So every
So
season.
nature has actually conditioned the creation to go through different cycles of time.
Right.
And in the same way, civilizations, the long periods of civilizations also, civilization flourishes, then it becomes spiritually or morally or ethically corrupt. So it gets obliterated, and the seeds for a new civilization are sown.
Yes.
Again, you go through.
It's a
So it's
cycle.
like a spiral.
Spiral. Yes.
It's not coming back to the same circle, because today's humanity of 8 billion people,
Right.
we can't live according to the lifestyles of 100 years ago.
Yes. So we are continuously evolving.
Yes, we are-
Some of us may not accept it, irrespective of what religion we follow, but then we are constantly evolving. Now, sir.
Here we have to take lesson from the world of science. Science has never stopped that one paradigm of truth. They say that we are continually coming with new knowledge,
Right.
and the new knowledge, when it is applied, again generates a fresh amount of new knowledge.
Right.
So same way the Baha'is say that the religions of humankind also are constantly evolving. And you can confirm it. We don't celebrate many of the Hindu festivals the way our forefathers or 100 years back were celebrated.
Right.
In the past, marriages would be a week-long affair. But today, nobody has that much time.
Right.
In fact, I know of friends who sometimes tell the priests that please take some extra gifts, but do a job, the ritual of marriage as quickly as possible.
As quickly as possible.
So, young people,
Yes. Today, the only concept which defines time is money.
Absolutely, it's all,
So-
yes.
So, but we need to think beyond that and have the spiritual side awakened.
Yes.
Now, many would say that it is a utopian concept, but can there be a synthesis of calendar or world calendar, like you're talking about the UN calendar?
Yes. I believe so, because as we enter the Aquarius age, one of the things that we will realize is that the past was dominated by patriarchal ideas. But today, when we see that men and women both have an equal role to play for the progress of the society. So the masculine and the feminine has to be balanced.
Right.
And one of the criteria for the evidences of the Aquarius age is this balance of the material, one side is the material and the physical, the spiritual, the physical, material and the spiritual, and on the other hand, it is the masculine and the feminine.
Yes, you mentioned this in your article in the Times of India, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, I did.
So, sir, what according to you could be an ideal calendar, for?
Yeah, just as one of the Bahai teachings is that we also need to have an international auxiliary language, so that apart from one's mother tongue, there is an adopted international language where a person from any part of the world can converse with the people where he or she travels. So the same way, I think the world community needs to come together and form a consensus. Nothing should be imposed. So people who are experts in that domain should come together and either look at the Bahai calendar and suggest that yes, it's very practical and it could be offered as something to be adopted by all, or they can come up with a new calendar, whichever is the case.
Right.
So here the Bahai calendar can serve as a model. It's worth exploring.
Yes. Thanks for enlightening us on the calendar, world of calendar rather, Dr. A.K. Merchant. It was lovely having you in our studios. We have believed that time is infinite, according to Einstein's general relativity theory, which is our best current description of space and time. The only place where time and also space ends is in our so-called singularity. This involves gravitational forces becoming so intense that space and time lose all meaning. But to better understand your own faith and beliefs, it is so important to appreciate other faiths and learn from them as well. That's all we have in this episode. We'll be back soon with another interesting episode. Till then, goodbye from the Matrix team.